Thank you. So the slide after this, which is just obviously just page down, is you and I, our titles. Beautiful. Yeah, so you can do an intro and hand over to me. Beautiful. Team, let's get together tonight. Thank you so much for joining us at HallChadwick. The HallChadwick journey is an amazing one. We grew at 34% last year. We're moving from the mid-tier to a larger international player. We've expanded into New York, London, Hong Kong, Singapore, you mentioned it. We're there. We've got a successful accounting practice here. And a successful market-leading insolvency practice. A few months ago, I went to a Lions rugby lunch, which was fantastic. And I got sat next to a guy called Julian Day, Jolly. We had a good lunch. The Lions series was fabulous. Julian, Jolly, is a fantastic guy. And he's pulled most of you into this room. HallChadwick is proud to sponsor this event and be involved. We enjoy Jolly's company and we enjoy the interactions with you all. I'll now hand over to Jolly. Please make yourself welcome here. HallChadwick's just refurbished this Sydney practice. Bathrooms are out the side, beers and wines there, food over the back for housekeeping. Make yourself at home, make yourself part of HallChadwick, and here's to the Consensus Awards. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks Anthony. It was a great lunch when we met, and fantastic to meet you on that occasion and then build a relationship, and now obviously HallChadwick to be hosting tonight, which I greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody in the room does, so thank you indeed for that. I think the most important thing about tonight is that we're celebrating. It's not an awards night. At the end of 2023, we stepped it up and decided to run the awards twice a year. So edition 1 in the first 6 months, edition 2 in the second 6 months. We did that in 2024 and we're doing it this year. So in June we presented the Consensus Awards, and we're currently open for entries for the second half of this year. So if there's anyone in the room tonight who'd like to talk to us about entering the awards, entries have to be in over the next month and a half or thereabouts, and we're happy to work with you to assist you at any point as well. The most important thing about what we do is creating innovation and networking. That's what tonight's all about. And you'll see there down on the right-hand side, number 1, we're celebrating 26 years. We started, So started the company 1st of July 1999, and we held the first awards night in March 2000. I'll come back to that later. I've also put up there, we are the world's most successful awards program, without a doubt, based upon a whole range of different measures, based upon the calibre of the winners. 9 out of 10 of all of the winners for the awards have gone on to be highly successful worldwide. 9 out of 10. The judges get it right year on year, on year on year, on year on year. And it has a lot to say for the methodology that we use. It's an open process. The judges can decide how many awards they give out. We have over 160 judges across 10 different awards programs. We have subject matter experts in all the different awards that we run. And it has to be a consensus of a large number of judges to decide on who the winners are. So the best rise to the top. I'll come back to that. Tonight, I'm going to give you the update now, and then below me on the left there you've got Andrew Hayes talking. I'm very happy that we're announcing tonight that the Consensus Awards Winners Wholesale Fund is now established. We're going to be going out and inviting investors to invest into the fund, and we will then be investing in the winners of the Consensus Awards. Isn't that great? If you want to enter the awards, yep. If you enter the awards and you win an award, then there is potential investment straight into your organisation. So if you're looking for 2 mil, we can probably fund that, maybe as much as 10 mil once we've established. But we're looking to build a fund of 10 mil to start off with and grow that fairly quickly to at least 100 mil. And Andrew will be talking about that. You then see the presentations we have from the previous winners. We have Enigma from Norgan, which is 2018. That was an Innovation Award. That was highly commended. We have Banks, which is now owned by TCS Worldwide. And Glenn Stafford is talking to that, who was involved in the company at the time. And then, it's a double whammy. Shane, put your hand up so I know who you are. Point at it. He won an award in the first half of 2024, entered another technology in the second half of last year. That was highly commended, took on board the feedback he got from the judges, addressed that, and then came back and won an award only back in June. So he's a double winner in a very short period of time, and he'll be talking about that. So we talk about splitting the awards. We've got 10 awards. Innovation Awards, you can see there, and the Professional Awards. When we started, we only had those. That was in the year 2000, March 2000, when we first presented those. But now we have those, and that's why I'm saying we have so many subject matter experts, so many judges, because of the different awards that we run. You see there on the right-hand side the photo of the 5 winners of Consensus Awards, because we only had the Consensus Awards then, plus the IT Rise Awards. I'm the bottom right, looking much younger than I am now today, obviously. Richard Alston is in the middle there in the probably next year with a new technology. The one he won on was a technology called Composer, but very successful. And this is amazing. Who's who? Who's presented the Consensus Awards? It's a who's who. Just got to read through that list. It just goes on. We've got in there Ed Husick when he was Minister, Richard White, who was the founder of one of our winners, WiseTech Global's presented the awards, Arthur Sinodinos, Simon Birmingham, Paul Fletcher. But it's not just one page, it's another page as well. Malcolm Turnbull's presented the awards twice. Brendan Nelson, Darryl Williams, Stephen Conroy, he presented the awards twice. We also had John Dee in there, who's the founder of Planet Ark. He presented our first Consensus Green Tech Awards. And Kate Lundy also presented the awards twice. And Senator Richard Alston presented year 1. He also presented in year 3, I think it was. So incredibly successful. Might mention as well, is Andrew here tonight? Andrew Birmingham's arrived. I put this up because in case he was here. But we started, say, year 1 with the Consensus IT Writers Awards. And we also introduced the Kester Lifetime Achievement Award in about year 4 of that award. And that's been running all the time. Andrew Birmingham, who's a very well-known journalist, received that award. I was hoping he's here tonight, so I put that in the presentation. But it's good that we're actually involved in the IT Writers Awards because, of course, we know personally, and Alex here doing the recording is one of our previous winners, and we know most of the journalists and editors in the technology space between us, which is fantastic. The number of entries and those judged gives you a good feel for that. If you add the number of entries judged, that's well over 1,500. You can see the number of winners there. In the Innovation Awards space, plus the highly commended, there's just over 200, 201 winners and highly commended. And what's amazing is that 9 out of 10 of all these winners have gone on to do extremely well. So about 150 of those 168 have actually gone on to do amazingly well worldwide. Why? Because of the time we've taken to build this. We're totally independent. It's not a competition. It's up to the judges to decide how many awards they give out. And we now run every 6 months. So the best rise to the top. It's a great way of running the awards. When we tell people about it, they said, oh, that's really interesting. I hadn't seen an awards program like this. Well, we designed this way back in 1999, and it's been highly successful as a result. On the right there, you've got the winners from 2012, with Malcolm Turnbull in the middle, without his hand up. He's the one without the hand up. All the others are going, yay! He's there to represent. And the proof, independent research. It's okay saying that you have 9 out of 10 of your winners going on to be highly successful. Well, are they? This is independent research. We now have 4 unicorns, Atlassian, WiseTech Global. Glenn Stafford's talking about TCS Banks tonight, and Aptrix, which was bought out by IBM. And you can see there some of the percentages of the B2B model. The fact is that close on 90% are private company entities, and I know Andrew's going to cover this as part of his presentation as well. So returns on venture capital investments, a typical VC portfolio. Yeah, you'd be lucky to get maybe 1 or 2 of your investments that pay a 10 times return. Well, we turn that on its head. What we've done, and it's every year, so it's not just a flash in the pan, so to speak. This is actually historical. All of our winners are on the website. Anybody can do their own analysis. The net cap of all those winners is well over 200 billion today. Huge. Don't we wish we invested in some of those before they become really famous? And I'll just page through this. There's obviously some major ones. Might just mention Atlassian because I met Mike and Scott the year they graduated from uni. They hadn't sold Jira at the time. I encouraged them to enter the awards, which they did in 2004. At the time, they had 3 beta sites. Mike's dad was paying the rent in a small little office. And is Edward Mandler here tonight? Put his hand up. He's not arrived, no. So Edward Mandler was the president of the Australian Computer Society at the time. And we went to their tiny little office and took a great photograph of the 2 of them, which was then replicated when they listed on the NASDAQ, the 2 of them both holding certificates when they listed. And when they listed, the value of the company was about 4 billion. And it's obviously significantly higher than that today. But a huge number. Some of these you might recognise. Mint Payments, one in the middle there. They're doing phenomenally well. Warescape, that's a New Zealand company, highly successful. But they've all been successful. The list goes on and on and on. Top right there, GBST. Okay, that gives you an overview. What I'd like to do now is hand over to Andrew Hayes to make a special announcement and talk about the new fund we're setting up, or have set up.
Well done, Jolly. Before you start, mate, if anyone's outside and you want to come in, feel welcome. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for all coming out on a Tuesday night. It's wonderful to have you all here. And as Julian was saying, it's a very exciting time for us. After probably 9 months of hard work, it looks like our fund is ready to go. And in no small part, thanks to our partners, Fundbase, Richard and Anna. Thank you very much. These guys have made my life easy. Without Fundbase, I'd probably be still 6 months away and would need to spend probably another $250,000 to get the fund up and running. With Fundbase as a partner and their wonderful Fund in a Box product, it's made this absolutely achievable and ready to go. So first thing, do you really need me to read the whole disclaimer? No. Yes. Okay, so this presentation's been prepared by Our Money Funds Management and is provided solely for informational purposes. Okay, you could read that. Okay, the mission, vision and value statement for the iMoney Group. So our mission is to unlock capital and strategic expertise to accelerate investments in bold ventures in clean energy, healthcare, innovation, and we're looking to transform ideas into measurable impact and better futures. So our vision is to make sure that investment is a force for good. So our playing field is the Asia Pacific region, so Australia, New Zealand and India. And we're looking to turn breakthrough innovation into sustainable prosperity across energy, health and innovation and emerging industries. So we value integrity, inventiveness, responsibility and collaboration. So I don't need to run through this one. To partner with Julian really was an absolute no-brainer. The fact that it's been running for 26 years, there are 160 plus registered judges who are absolute experts in their field. Can I have a show of hands in the room? How many judges do we have in here? Thank you very much. You guys do an amazing job. So there's been more than 200 winners and 33 highly commendeds. I won't dwell too much on this because Julian's gone through in his overview the amount of companies. So it's the majority of them are Australian private companies. There are a small number of listed companies, both from Australia and New Zealand, who enter the awards, but it's mostly Australian private companies. Again, 90% of them, once they've been through that incredibly hard filter of the judging process and the 360-degree feedback loop, generally these businesses have wonderful products and services and are well run. So to create a fund off the back of that very, very good first pass due diligence really makes my life a lot easier. So, as Julian said, 9 out of 10 go on to become highly successful. You can see the unicorns in there. So how does it go from the awards process to being investment ready? So obviously Julian's out there, the judges are out there, they're networking, there are marketing channels, they're talking to incubators, they're going to university startup hubs, industry associations, they're talking with government, former CEOs, like Shane here. Shane's a serial entrepreneur. You know, how many awards have you won now? Is it 3? Yeah. 3. 3. So anything that Shane touched, I would happily back just because of his skill set. So once they've been through the judging process, they've already come to us pre-packaged, so they've met the criteria of innovation, performance, and also potential. So all that leaves me to do is to run through the portfolio and see which of the companies actually need our capital. So in terms of constructing the portfolio, what we're looking at doing, because the awards process has been going for such a long time, it's been running for, this is the 26th year. So you've got companies that are, well-seasoned, listed companies that are established. So unlike a lot of venture capital funds or even private equity firms, we're going to allocate 30% of our capital to listed winners. Plus, we've also got the 10% in cash and liquid ETFs. So we've got a real measure of differentiation is we actually will have a liquidity component that other private equity or venture capital funds just don't have. But you still have those early stage companies as 30% of the portfolio, and the mid-stage companies, which is the real growth engine. That's where I think the real bang for the buck is going to come, because they're companies that will either be taken over by larger competitors or will move into a float themselves and go public. So our investment thesis, we aim to generate superior returns by investing in successful, innovative Australian and New Zealand companies as identified by the awards program. The judging process is a due diligence mechanism, and it identifies high quality investment opportunities, and our strategy is based on the fact that 90% of these winners go on to do great things. So the judging criteria in it and of itself, like Julian has produced a great program where you focus on the innovation, the performance and the potential, and it ensures investments have a competitive moat, a proven product market fit and a significant growth trajectory. So our portfolio will diversify across the listed, mid-stage and early stage companies to balance the risk and return. So this multi-stage strategy allows investors to gain exposure to the full life cycle of Australian innovation. And we think that's quite unique in the market. As far as I'm aware, there is not another fund in Australia that does anything like this. So the portfolio construction, again, 30% listed winners, so that's our stability and proven growth. 30% in the mid-stage companies, that's our growth engine. 30% in the early stage companies, the venture play, and then 10% in the cash and liquid ETFs. So that's our liquidity and our agility. So how to invest? Now, at this stage, it is only a wholesale fund. So you need to meet the wholesale investor requirements to that. The minimum investment will be 25,000 Australian, and you invest via an application form via Fundbase. So application at fundbase.com.au, you run through their online application form, you get the information memorandum, and once the due diligence is done, then you're good. Julian said we're looking for 10 million. I'd like to see this fund seeded with at least 20, with 100 million within a calendar year. Given that Australia is the 4th largest pension pool in the world, I don't see any barrier to hitting those marks. So that's the fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. It's great to have the fund up and running. One of the things I'm going to be personally doing is approaching quite a number of our previous winners. You can obviously probably work out who some of those are, to actually invest in the fund. They've won our awards, they've gone on to be highly successful worldwide, and of course they would understand our process, how it all works, and it makes sense. So I will be doing that over the next 3 to 4 weeks and having meetings with them, which will be fantastic. So if we can get 2 or 3 of those that are multi-billionaires today to invest maybe 10 or 20 mil into the fund to start off with, that'll be fantastic. Now with tonight, it's a fairly informal evening. I'm going to finish now and then we're open to just networking and collaboration. So the next presentation will be at 7 o'clock, so I think we've got about 20 minutes or 25 minutes or thereabouts for networking. There's food at the back. There will be additional food being brought out later on as well. So that's the warm stuff coming later. But feel free to network with everybody, introduce yourselves to others that you don't know, and have a great night. Thank you.
and talk to me for a couple of minutes here. So, for the benefit of our live stream viewers, you've been a serial award winner here at Consensus Awards. I know you're going to give a speech tonight, but just tell us a bit about the awards you've won and what those have been for.
Absolutely. So firstly, there's been a lot of awards even prior to Consensus. I think we were trying to account to something between 15 to 20, which is, I think, quite a staggering number from some very prestigious brands that I think got us ready for the Consensus type of award. My favorite of all the awards actually is the Consensus Award, because it's such a high bar. It's not based on buying your way in or being aligned to a vendor. And to actually get about 9 or 10 judges all agreeing to go and say yes, that's not an easy thing to do. It's actually hard to get 5 people to agree on a date and time to meet.
Yeah.
Let alone judge a business on certain criteria. It's also brilliant because not only is there a written process, which is consistent with many organizations running awards, but the in-person presentation, the deep dive, the Q&A, the interrogation, whatever the appropriate word is, that's actually quite powerful. So I think it's actually brilliant. I know we'll be going for more awards as we innovate new capability. It's a very valuable process to have it scrutinized or critiqued by a multidisciplinary panel of judges. That's actually quite valuable. People go and pay advisors
A lot of money
to be on team for that. So, and they're not doing it for the money. So it's actually truly valuable.
Well, look, I look forward to hearing your speech later tonight, where you'll go into a bit more detail, and I will interview you in the next few days about some of the things that you're doing. So, Shane, congratulations, and great to see you.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you.
Your attention, please. Hello? Can't hear you.
You will need it. Or still I need it.
Can you hear me? Yes, you can. Oh, good. Okay. No? Hello? Right, I think everyone's quieting down a bit. That's good. I'll put this photograph up. The gentleman in the middle, Richard White, you recognise? This is in 2019. He co-presented the awards with me. And to his right is Sri Makonda, who's here tonight. Put your hand up. Fantastic. And his son, Hyundai, and they're going to give us a talk on where they are today. So they were highly commended in 2019. Welcome to the stage, Hyundai Makonda, and Sri is going to add detail if necessary. So please come to the stage. Thank you.
Hope this is working. Yep, so wonderful. So first of all, good evening everyone, and thanks again Jolly for hosting this event tonight. So I'm joined by Sri. Would you like to give a quick introduction to yourself?
Hi, I'm Sri, and I'm the founder of Logan, and I have 25 years of experience, and we built a platform called Enigma, for which we got a highly commended award in 2019 from Consensus, and we traveled a lot actually from there, and we will talk about that. Actually, that's what our objective is. Yep. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sri. And I myself am Hruday, who is the head of AI, generative AI, and agentic AI here at Logan. So as Sri mentioned before, we'll be giving a quick tour of who we are and what we've accomplished in the past couple of years regarding Enigma. So first of all, Logan is completely an Australian-based organization, and we are specialized in offering AI, generative AI, agentic AI, and IoT solutions for a number of clients around the world. And we have received many accolades over the past couple of years, including being highly commended at the 2019 Consensus Awards. So I first started an introduction to AI when I was around 15 or 16 years old, and what I was working on was a voice assistant, which is not too dissimilar to Siri. But as I was working on that project, I was also hearing Sri and his team having discussions on calls and meeting people, and I came up to him and asked him, all right, Sri, what kind of project are you working in? Why did you start this journey? And that's when I learned that machine learning projects, they struggle to meet their objectives. And the reason is they fail to consider the changes in behavior of a particular customer or a device or any other entity which they're making predictions for. So what's important is that machine learning needs to take into consideration these changes in behavior and also consider the context which affects these changes in behavior. So that's where we came up with our Enigma platform. So what Enigma offers is, it's a completely configurable platform which allows us to quickly generate behaviors and look at thousands of data, thousands of attributes from the data to then build the context and then build the behavior to see how that behavior is changing. And on top of that, machine learning can be applied where we allow organizations to get real-time recommendations and influence their real-time decisioning. Now, as a lot of you are familiar, in the past couple of years, the generative AI space has greatly become influential. For example, the rise of ChatGPT, and every single organization wants a piece of that cake. So what did we come up with? We came up with our own generative AI solution called Ellie. Now, the cool thing about Ellie is that it is completely a private and a sovereign implementation of LLMs within an organization which only runs on their servers and their cloud. And the cool thing about Ellie is that it is very secure, where data from different departments, which is accessed by the LLM, is clearly segregated. And all of this is done while offering competitive and fair pricing. Now, in the past couple of years, we've also expanded more into the agentic AI side of things, where we can configure and whip up an AI agent to look throughout the internet for whatever kind of data which your organization or use case might require. Now, the cool thing about Enigma is that when compared with other competitors such as Databricks or Snowflake, those kinds of competitors, they still require a lot of personnel and time to complete these projects. But with Enigma, because it's configurable, any organization for any use case and in any industry can quickly implement behavior-driven AI and agentic AI in the same amount of time it would take for them to do a PIC. And by that time, they will have a full solution and be ready to go to the market. Now, we here at Logan, we also value the privacy and security of our organizations and clients. So what that means is, whatever data goes through Enigma, it stays completely immutable. And additionally, as I mentioned before, Ellie is a completely private and sovereign implementation of LLM within your organization. So here at Logan, we've actually pre-built a lot of solutions for multiple industries, which I'll go into a bit more detail. And also we've worked with many organizations in the past to create custom solutions. So now we will go through those particular use cases. So the first of which is CR, which is our energy optimization system. So what that means is we are completely integrated with all of the state-of-the-art and latest microgrids, as well as we optimize the amount of energy used in solar plants, power plants, and also optimize the amount of energy to be used to produce a certain amount of chemical in plants such as hydrogen and ammonia plants. Second of all is Cura, which is a healthcare solution for remote patient monitoring. And this is being implemented in many hospitals and clients across the world. The third of which is a brain anesthesia monitoring solution, where we worked with a company here in Australia, where we have received EEG data from surgeries to see and predict and train our models to predict how much anesthesia would a particular patient require before they even go into the surgery. And this is completely dependent on looking on different factors such as what kind of race they are and the full patient profile. Next is our fuel stations use case, which is our Flintel solution. So we worked with a large Latin American fuel station organization where we helped increase their revenues and decrease the amount of churn. Next is our AI agent power solution, where we have a real estate and matching engine where we look over the internet using Ellie's agentic AI capabilities and match what properties best match a particular customer for that real estate agent. Next is our DC Optigma PUE optimization solution, where a big focus of data centers is to optimize their PUE by reducing facility load and increasing the IT load. Next is our telecom solution, where we work with a major Latin American telco company, where we have identified a large amount of fraud, which was happening from whatever data which they were providing, which was around, sorry, was that around 10 terabytes?
10 terabytes per day.
Data per day, which we were processing and identifying fraud in.
Yep.
And the kind of fraud which we were looking at is that there were multiple SIMs where each SIM was making a crazy number of calls, which is like
10,000 plus.
10,000, that's absolutely insane. Next is our defect prevention solution, where we were looking at defects the size of even 1 millimeter using image classification in solar panel manufacturing process. Next is we even have our OmniSize solution, which is tailor-made for retail-based customers, as well as our electric vehicle fault detection and prevention solution, where we look at all the data coming from sensors from electric vehicles and seeing at what point might they be failing or they might need servicing and preventative measures like that. Next, what we're pushing more is Babel Fund, where towards wealth management organizations, where we help them optimize the kind of holdings they have in the fund and also help match investors with particular funds. Next is an advanced solution where we are in the education sector, looking at how students can be best matched to a particular university. For example, we look at the behaviors of each individual university and as well as the student, and recommend the student, all right, what kind of tasks should that student do so that their behavior can better match the university's behavior, and that means an increased chance of being accepted into that university for that student. Next is our sports use case, which I'm sure a lot of you would love because we're actually working on a project right now for AI-driven horse betting, where last year, and this is crazy, last year we predicted 3 out of the 5 horses which won in last year's Melbourne Cup.
Top 5, yeah.
Yeah.
And the top 5, 3 of them, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we looked at that by looking at the data of all of the horses which were running on that day, whatever their experience was in previous races, who was the jockey riding on that day and his behavior, as well as the kind of track which they're running on. Basically anything you could think of when it comes to horse racing. We looked at all of that and we were able to predict 3 out of the top 5 horses which won that day. Next is an AI Things solution, where it's also building on the electric vehicle fraud detection, but this time we have also applied it to large jet fans which are working in highway tunnels and also in data centers and similar buildings which have a HVAC system. Now, as I mentioned before, we also have Ellie implemented for a lot of number of our customers, where we scour the internet to retrieve data and also process that data automatically without manual intervention. And also we have worked in the transportation industry as well. Now, as I mentioned before, we have received many accolades over the past couple of years. And some of you may recognize this man. He is the founder of Infosys, Narayan Murthy, and we have received awards from him as well. So as you can see, we are very well accomplished.
Yep.
So please feel free to ask us any questions in the Q&A after this. And once again, thank you all for listening to us.
Any quick questions from people?
I've got one, sorry. Thanks, Julie. Gentlemen, hi, my name's Nick Jeanette. I chair the iMoney Holdings Group. Incredible presentation. You do a lot in Latin America. Is that because the adoption is far more, it's easier, lower barrier to entry than Australia? So what's the adoption like in Australia versus something like Latin America?
Sorry, would you like to answer that, Sri?
Yeah, sure, thank you. So, there are 2 different dimensions. I wouldn't say that, okay, the adoption is easier there, it's even tougher there, because all large size consulting companies are already sitting in the large scale telcos across the world wherever we go. So it's more of like, okay, the pain that they were facing at the stage where they were means it's a bit like this, like, okay, the customers or the subscribers that were taking the subscriptions from the telcos were not properly registered there. It was a bit like 15 to 20 years ago, like what it was in Asian countries. That's what exactly the situation there. So their main problem was like, okay, I don't know like, okay, who my customer is, but they're using the phone, number 1. Number 2, their problem was they are targeting their customers with specific type of offers meant for different types of genders and age groups. They wanted to understand, so what is the age group of the person using a phone? For example, his phone is on my name. Okay, so it is exactly the problem actually what they were trying to address, and they tried multiple avenues and they went to multiple companies. They were not satisfied with the solutions that they got. So they came to us and they were giving us 10 terabytes of data per day, and using that we trained the models because it's all configurable. And our training gave not only the predictions of around 75% accurately, those pain areas, what they were looking for. Not only that, actually, because of behavioral science-driven analysis that we do, we tapped into the real problems that they were losing money because of fraud. So it's a combination of multiple problems we address. That's exactly where we got that entry into. So that's what it is. But see, Can we do the same in Australian companies? Maybe, yes, that's where exactly the growth is coming into picture for us as a next step, and we are trying to enter into the market into that space, yes.
Hi, Bruce Wren from Rubila. I was interested in, you were talking about the internet before in a couple of your use cases. You know, it's an area we know a lot about in terms of documentation. One of the things we see time and time again is that the average middle-sized to large organisation can have up to 1,000 duplicates of the same document in an intranet there. Then you have multiple SharePoint systems and so on. And then to actually go and identify the trusted source of data and then put AI on top of it is a nightmare. How are you getting around that? What do you want to talk about?
So yeah, so this is, I must say, I think one thing here, maybe I think we are currently working on one of the products called freedom of information. Especially if you look at in all the councils, you go and ask some document actually, and they give it from their archives and see. It's not like one version of the document, you might be having multiple versions of the document. So the key is always trying to understand like, okay, which one is really the latest one and accurate one. Yeah. So in that process, actually, sometimes we start with the journey of understanding what exactly the structure is and where the structure is, number one. Number two is, while we are training the RAG-based frameworks in generative AI, we automatically see like, okay, what information we are grabbing and from where. And we see like, okay, whether we can label it like it's the latest information coming or an older information is already present. And based on that, actually, we give it to the business to validate and then bring back like, okay, what needs to be trained on rather than blindly training on everything. So that is exactly where we prevent the hallucinations that appear in generative AI space by giving the accurate information and eliminating all the information that is not required to be there at that point in time. So it's a bit of like what we call a single version of truth on documents, which is not easy, very complex. Yeah, it's very complex. I agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, sure, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, there is one more question there. Yeah. Yeah.
My dad voice.
No problem. Yeah.
Because a bit short, I'll come up the front. John Katsuri from My Brainwave, an innovation management company. Congratulations on what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's excellent. The question I have is from your LLMs, are you developing them in-house, or are you sort of connecting to the GPT-5s and the Geminis and the rest of them? Just your
Very good question. So I think what Hriday was showing there was a bit like what we are mainly focused in. If you look at entire current situation of what exactly is happening in the world, and every country wants to have their own way of handling the data without depending on external data sources or information sources. So what's happening is like, okay, what we do is we are not developing an LLM from scratch, but we are bringing the LLMs that are foundational and available in the market, and we bring it back into the localized servers where we put the GPUs, and then we install that. And then we fine-tune those LLMs to make it work for the organization where we are working.
So if I play that back, you've got multiple LLMs
Absolutely.
that you're using, best
Absolutely.
of breed, so you
Exactly.
don't have to invest in keeping up to date because they're paying $1 billion
Absolutely.
for a techo engineer and so on.
We don't want to do that.
Taking the
Absolutely.
latest, but
Yeah.
you're bringing it in to
Exactly.
behind the firewall to say, hey, I know you're worried about
Absolutely.
protection.
Exactly.
That you're bringing it in here and saying,
Yep.
hey, on all your data,
Yep.
the
Yep.
brain is
Yep.
working on your data
Absolutely.
and you're leveraging it that way.
Exactly.
And so from a price point compared to the Infosys, the Wipro, those guys, percentage-wise, how much cheaper are you?
At least 50%. That's what it is. Yeah. Because we are configurable. We don't sit there. See, what we do usually is, in all these customers that we do, if any of traditional way of services companies saying that, okay, they will take 18 months to deliver a project, our pitch is usually like, okay, replace that months with weeks. Means it's not because we are cheap. The platform runs at
The
a much
SKU
higher
approach you
speed.
take, you do it
Absolutely. It is
faster,
configurable.
more
You don't need
specific.
20 developers,
So your
okay?
target market's large corporates and SMEs in
And we wanted to
Australia?
work with those companies, even Infosys, TCS, and others,
Yeah.
because we are not fighting with them. Actually, we are not competing with them. We wanted to collaborate with them, and we wanted them to take us to the market.
So your smaller size company is
$200 per customer.
$200 per customer.
Exactly,
Okay, so you
to
have a
optimize
subscription
their energy
like
bills.
on a plant, depending on
Exactly,
the size.
yeah, absolutely. The largest one is something like the telco, what we were talking.
Yeah,
That's a massive
South
one.
American.
Yes.
How come not the Australian top guys?
We need to enter into that panels. That's where exactly it takes time.
Yeah,
We
a
need,
bit more
maybe I think my beard has to be still more wider and grayer, I think.
I've got a question. Okay, so I'm Leon Goldsman, Ecolibrum headquarters. I engage communities, and my question is, where do you see yourself in, say, 5 years from now?
Okay, so see, our journey is we wanted to rapidly grow from where we are. See, I think if you look at for a company of our size, where we started around 5 years ago, thanks, Jolly, I think you recognized us in the market. Actually, that's really good. And we came to the point like we have around 15 different solutions for different industries. When we started our journey in 2019, when we came for consensus at that time, the market was not trusting that, okay, there is a single solution that can be applied for any industry with ease without requiring too much of money and time. So I think we crossed that path, and we are now at a point that, okay, it is proven and it is running fine. So we wanted to grow from this point in the next 5 years. And from there, we don't want to stop there. Actually, we wanted to enter into the quantum computing side. And we don't want to go to the real quantum, where it is much complex and very complex to implement in a business level, but bring the best of quantum and blend with our Enigma and LE. So Enigma and LE runs like a rocket, actually. That's where exactly we wanted to do. So we wanted to empower the businesses that we are working in a way that, okay, they can implement AI at much higher speed than what it is currently. We have an ambition of saying that, okay, any AI project we wanted to deliver in 24 hours, we will see where we will go. We don't know. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to leave it there, unfortunately. We've got to move on to the other presentation. Thank you very much indeed, guys. What a great presentation. Well done.
Thanks, Molly.
Well done.
Switch it up.
Make the media team tonight interview people.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
I would love to talk to you after.
Absolutely.
Can I give you my card?
Okay, we'll take a 10-minute break. So recharge your glasses, help yourselves to food, and then we'll have the next presentation. everyone's attention. Hello! Hello! Quiet, please. Quiet, quiet, quiet. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Can we have quiet, please? And I'll quickly introduce a very good friend of mine, Glenn Stafford, who I've known for many years through Rotary and a whole range of other things. Well, he was involved when TCS, which is a North Sydney-based company, developed the bank's technology. So it's great to have Glenn here to talk about that technology, which was a winner in 2005, and today, globally, is huge. And Glenn will tell us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jolly. So I'm not going to go too much into the technology. The story I'm going to tell you goes back a couple of decades, and the technology has certainly changed since then, even though maybe the fundamentals have not. Financial Network Services was the name of the company. I hope you like that slide. That was the background we used back in 2005. We thought it was pretty cool then. Not anymore. We were based in Redfern. We couldn't afford offices anywhere else, but we went global. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story. So this is, obviously, part of the story is the fact that we were successful in winning Consensus Software Awards in 2005, and I'll come to that a little later. My name's Glenn Stafford, co-founder, chief architect, development manager, program director, country manager of FNS back then. And any of you involved in startups, you know you put a hat on for whatever the customer is paying for. You adopt that persona, that role. So yes, we were all doing everything back then. These days I do technology transformation, consulting and board advisory work, so I still have to earn a crust, unfortunately. Our journey really started back in 1989. I came out the year before in bicentennial year from the UK. You might have picked up a bit of an accent. And in 1989, we had a management buyout in February from St. George. It was interesting because our core banking software at the time, as part of the deal, they could pick up the software for $1. At around the same time, Westpac was almost going broke because of their CS90 core banking project. Some of you might recall CS90. And of course, Westpac eventually acquired St. George. But anyway, we bought out this IT group from St. George and started our journey. Across many flavors of technology, we could run our core banking platform on any flavor of Unix, IBM mainframe, Windows servers. We broke benchmarks along the way on all of those platforms. We also were the first 24/7 core banking platform. Today I get annoyed still when banks send you a message to say, sorry, internet banking's going to be down or your mobile app's not going to work because of maintenance. That's not true 24/7. We were true 24/7 back in the day. Our mission was to deliver best-in-class core banking, treasury and payment software to financial solutions to help them operate more efficiently. And also, we were great innovators as well. At the time, fintech was not a term, but we were arguably one of the first fintechs in Australia. We were certainly pioneers in modern banking architecture. So our product was called FNS Banks. I'll put up a reference architecture. I'm not going to walk you through that, but it was the de rigueur architecture at the time. We moved to SOA, service-orientated architecture at later dates. But back then we had APIs. APIs are not new. It's just that a lot of companies have jumped onto that bandwagon to sell you software to manage your APIs, but they're certainly not new. So we had a very modern architecture which allowed us to achieve very high performance and also run across all those different platforms. I remember a conversation with a gentleman called Dave Curran, who was at CBA at the time, just before they started their project with SAP, and they spent $1.5 billion, I should say, on that project and counting. Didn't complete the project. And when we told them about a benchmark we had done with the Bank of China for 480 million customer accounts, Dave Curran said, "Oh, we'll never be that big. You're not relevant to us." They ended up putting more kit on the floor in CommBank for 8 million customers than Bank of China did for 480 million. So it just shows how efficient our software was at the time. But we also were trusted by smaller institutions. We were selling to credit unions, building societies, mutual banks all over the world. But the big breaks for us was the State Bank of India in India and the Bank of China in China, of course. We were a small operation. There were 18 of us to start with, operating mainly overseas. Australian banks didn't really believe Australian software companies could develop quality software. There was one exception, ING Direct, when it came into Australia in the late 90s. We worked with them to create arguably, well, it was the first digital bank in Australia. At that time it was internet banking. You'd go into the post office to do your KYC. They're still running the platform today, although they just started a project to replace it, but that's many, many years later. So throughout the 80s, 90s and the 2000s, banking software started to be dominated by some of the larger players that were coming in. So we absolutely need to know who our competitors were. And you had players like IBM and Oracle, SAP coming into the market, and we were struggling to compete against them. We had to understand why we would win deals to compete against them. We had to also understand who we needed to sell to and what our unique selling proposition was. So these were things that we were very confident in, but of course the market was getting that much more difficult to compete, particularly when investor funds are very difficult to come by, especially when you're a very small organization. So our challenge was to establish credibility and frankly to survive in a market that was dominated by CSC, Fiserv, Infosys, and Oracle, and others that were coming into the market at the time. So that's where the consensus awards became pivotal for us. And in 2005, so quite a few years later, we were struggling to survive. We decided that it was time to do something different and see what we could do to really establish greater credibility in the market. So in early 2005, we submitted FNS Banks for the Australian Consensus Technology Awards. And as you can see here, 21st of April, we were proud winners of the Consensus Software Awards. So that gave us greater credibility because of the peer and because of the market recognition. It also helped to validate the quality, the scalability, the innovation of our solution and of our vision, because we were being judged by our peers. So credibility came and instantly enhanced our reputation with banks, with regulators, and industry partners. And it helped to reassure clients that they were partnering with a company that was trusted and a proven technology provider. So it became another point of market differentiation for us, particularly in a market that was skeptical of smaller providers. We were not a name, we weren't an IBM, Your CIO, you choose IBM, you're not going to lose your job. The CIO, you choose FNS, people are going to ask questions. But FNS Banks was now an award-winning software. It provided visibility, provided media coverage, speaking opportunities, networking access to early fintech, in quotes, innovators. And it opened doors to more international markets as well, laying the groundwork for our eventual acquisition. So awards are not just recognition, they're not just a trophy we put on in our boardroom shelf. It's a signal to the market that we can be trusted. I seem to have skipped a slide there, my apologies. So, April 2005, we won the award. October 2005, TCS acquired us. Not for as much as we would have liked. We were a struggling company after all, but at least we got our investment back. And because of that, our partnership with key financial institutions improved. And the reason for that, of course, is that we had a much bigger balance sheet. What we actually did with TCS was create a strategic business unit, which we actually ran. And that was called TCS Financial Solutions, TCS FS. And the brand was TCS Banks. And we took on some other software assets as well, which we managed as part of that group. So in the financial services place, such as AML software, corporate actions, and some other stuff as well. So it certainly helped that we had that award. I remember a conversation in the boardroom leading up to this. We were down to the last two, TCS and a very well-known core banking provider who realized that their then platform, which they still sell today, wasn't really up to the job for larger banks. And with both of those organizations, I remember at different times we were in the boardroom and we were talking about the awards and the Consensus Award. And it absolutely created a conversation where we were able to talk about the reasons that we had been awarded this. And that helped to trigger those conversations and really focus on what the value proposition was for them to purchase our company. We may not have stood out as much as we did without that recognition. So we're very grateful for that. So, in summary, awards do more than just celebrate success. They create that trust that's needed. They help validate innovation, and they help foster community, which is very important. For startups and scale-ups today, awards signal to investors, to your clients, to your partners, that you have a company and a product that is credible. It provides a platform to engage with peers, learn and build alliances. They help launch companies into new markets, locally and internationally. It certainly did that for us. So recognition is not just a trophy, it's a strategic business tool that you can use. It's up to you how you use that. Open to questions. Thank you. It's getting late.
There's a question over here.
Oh.
Hi, Glenn. Privilege of us. Thanks for your speech. My question is, where do you see the future banking technology lying with the advent of AI and the proliferation of other technologies?
Okay, well, I think with all respect to Sri and Logan, AI still got a long way to go to mature enough to be used seriously in banking. It has credible use cases today, but it's still got a long way to go. You're not going to build the fundamental systems that are required at the core of a bank that can handle millions and millions of transactions a day tens of thousands of transactions a second. AI is not going to do that for you. It's not. It could calculate your interest, but if you're doing that across tens of or hundreds of millions of accounts, AI is not the tool. So you still need the engines that are reliable, that are available at all times to drive the core business of banks. Now, when you move outside of core banking then, and you look at things like loan approvals, credit assessments and so on, yes, absolutely there are genuine use cases for AI in those areas, but it's not going to run the bank for you at the end of the day.
And,
not yet.
And how soon do you think before central bank digital currencies are a reality as opposed to something people fear or just talk about, and programmable currency becomes real, which is good, but can also be programmed to be switched off, stopping you from buying something because you've consumed too much meat or carbon or whatever it might be?
Well, that's another excellent question. I was in Vietnam earlier this year working with the National Association of Payments, the National Payments Association over there on their 2025-2030 strategy. And these are questions that we were addressing. Look, those digital currencies, stable coins or whatever, they're already there. I have my stable coin US dollars accounts. I certainly find a good use for those, even though the Aussie dollar is going gangbusters against US at the moment. But anyway, that will change. So I think for a lot of these things, the reality is already here. It just hasn't had the mass uptake yet. Can they be turned off? Yes, of course they can. Are payment systems at risk on normal fiat currencies? Yes, they are. Cashless society, please, it's cash light. We know we need cash. Digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, whatever, we cannot 100% rely on them. We know that Sweden has been the poster child for the cashless advocates for many years. They've recently issued a letter in the mail, not email, in the mail, wrote a letter to all of their citizens to say, keep cash on you, because they had evidence the Russians could bring down their payment systems at any point in time. So they said, carry cash and carry in small denominations. Now, I'm not advocating cash for the future. Yes, of course, digital currencies, cryptocurrencies, yes, they are going to be part and parcel, but we have to have backup. We have to have alternatives for when they get turned off for whatever reason.
Thank you.
That was so great to have a walk down the relay on financial systems, and congratulations. I'm curious, you showed us something with amazing uptime and incredible breadth of feature set for its time. How much confidence did you have at the time about how good this was? And with the benefit of 2020 hindsight, is there anything you would have done differently?
Okay. We were very confident in our software. We were very confident in its capabilities. We were not so confident about ourselves. We didn't have the balance sheet. We weren't attracting the investments that we needed. We wanted to keep our share in the company, but protect that share anyway. And we were struggling in an increasingly more competitive market. So absolute confidence in our product, in our architecture and so on, but we knew it had to change. We knew we had to evolve. Digital was on the horizon, and we didn't have the funds to do that. So when we had the opportunity to go to market, and TCS, primarily because of the deal that we won with the State Bank of India, massive opportunity for us, and TCS were the SI for that, the system implementer for that, then it seemed to be it was a perfect match. They not only bought their balance sheet, a few tens of billions of dollars at that time, $1 billion business alone in Australia for TCS. I think Infosys would be about the same these days. So they not only bought the balance sheet, but they bought the funds to be able to invest and bring the product into the modern world. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Glenn.
Thank you.
up in about 5 minutes. Enjoy. Thank you. Sorry? Your attention, please. Thank you.
Use that. This is for me.
Hello.
Struggling with the look. Can I put it here?
Yeah, you can put it wherever you want.
Two. Not working? Not working.
Wow. Thank you.
1, 2,
This last
1.
talk by a previous winner is unbelievable. Shane won last year and this year, so back to back. And historically, we've got one organisation, Soprano Design, that entered over the years 4 times and won 3 times. We also have 2 companies, 2 individuals that have actually won 3 times, and we have 6 that have won 2 times. So Shane is the 7th one that's actually won twice over all the years that we've run the awards. And he's done phenomenally well in terms of determination, I think. I've got to know Shane pretty well, and we've shared a lot over the last couple of years. And I'll hand over to him to tell you the story. Thank you.
Which one works? 1, 2? No.
Does that work?
1? No. 2?
Hello. Hello, does this work?
That's okay.
I don't think we'll be working as much.
I'll pretend to walk around. Good evening. All right, is this my... This is it, okay. So, I will stand here because I presume you'll need to hear me in the microphone. Shane Muller is my name. I'm the founder of SafeWatch and also Secure My Digital. So thank you. I want to start by saying thank you for actually hanging around. I was thinking I might end up speaking to 2 or 3 people because it's the very end. I've done plenty of speaking, but I've never spoken to a group at the very end of a lot of networking drinks. So this will also be a first. I'll be observing you and scoring yourself probably. So I'll start by giving you a little bit of background on myself. I'm going to try and stick to time because I'd like to cover a little bit about SafeWatch and also Secure My Digital, and also talk about the value of the Consensus Awards. A little bit about myself. I started my entrepreneurial journey at a very young age. I was 10 years old. While at school, I wrote a payroll program for a security company with about 370 staff. I will say this, I didn't understand mathematics at age 10. But it was an amazing experience. I know I'm told I was getting paid more than the average income. And I did it because no one told me that's not the done thing. And I just want to emphasize that part because a lot of our kids are told this is not the done thing versus what is. But it was a brilliant exposure for myself because in hindsight, that's when I actually learned the power of collaboration. I did that with my dad. He had to explain to me about maths, net and gross. The power of experimentation, the power of being able to see an outcome and try and figure it out. There's quite a few things. So that was my start in business and in technology. And I will also say I'm quite blessed that as a teenager, I forced myself to sort of journey and find my big why on why I want to do anything. So I am very blessed with that. I'm happy to cover if I end up having time, but at this stage, I've already spent 2 minutes, so I probably won't have much time. I will also say this pre-Consensus, I've set up quite a few businesses. My oldest running business today is called OBT. In about 3 months' time, it'll be 25 years old, which is quite remarkable for a technology business, and it's a cloud computing business. So we established that 9 years before Australia caught on to the concept of cloud computing. We didn't even have data centers. We transformed a kitchen into a data center. But anyway, there's a lot around there. So in my background, I have personally spearheaded and innovated over 50 products and services. And that obviously has led to what's happened in the last 5 years with a few different businesses, which I'm going to cover here. Now, I'll first talk about consensus. We were trying to do a count. In my short time, I think I've won about 15 to 20 different awards over my time. From prestigious names, global brands. It's actually truly humbling, absolutely. Yeah, and I can't take the credit, even though, because me taking the credit, I'm representing teams and talent and timing and market positioning, etc. But some amazing brands that we won these awards. Now, I will talk about this. I have learned after getting involved with Consensus that a lot of the award-giving companies have biases. They may have biases whereby it depends how much money you've spent with me if you want to even enter, or are you pro our brand, etc., etc. That is one thing I actually truly valued and still value with Consensus. It's actually not based on how much I'm spending with a vendor or what have you. The second thing is the judging process. Most of the processes we've been through for awards have this written submission, and that's quite normal. But with Consensus, not only do you have the written, you actually show up and present to about 9 or so judges, and they question and critique. It's actually truly invaluable. I find it one of the best parts of the entire process. I'd love to actually have a judging panel all the time. So we actually found that very, very useful. The next one, it's actually very impressive, and it's great for us that we have a broad range of different disciplines. That's very useful for us, because in business, most people go and hire a broad range of consultants to give you different viewpoints just so you don't miss your blind spots. So it's actually great and valuable that they're all not finance guys or all not marketing guys or what have you. It's a great range. And then the final point, which I'll probably cover later, is it also gives us the ability to take this feedback, tweak it, and then go back to this panel and say, ask for that feedback and critique. So I actually think the Consensus Awards in the 15 to 20 we've won would be probably the pinnacle. I shouldn't say probably. It is the pinnacle award-giving organization. And I'm not saying that because I was invited here by Consensus. All right. I'll spend a couple of minutes on each of the two businesses. The first award we won is for SafeWatch, and it was the MedTech Award in 2024. I'll give you a little bit about a little story. My heart was moved in 2019 when I started listening to stories of people and mainly young people who one of the serious, real options or doors for them to go through was suicide. And then I overlaid that with statistics, because I love numbers, and I saw this crazy trend pointing in a very bad direction when it came to mental health, where it was becoming quite normal for people, mainly young people, to choose to end their life. So it was actually the stories and the statistics of 2019 that actually moved my heart. Little did I realize what will happen in 2020 and onwards when it comes to mental health and suicide. But our objective and my objective back then was to actually use my craft, technology, do something with business to solve this serious world problem. Now, I took a whole year, all of 2020, to focus on one question. And that's the why. I love the why, because for me, why is the fuel tank? Because you're going to have so many headwinds in business, in life. You need a good fuel tank. When I took this 1 year to focus on the why, I did some research, and I found when someone actually suicides, in my research, a huge percentage of people left behind, the overwhelming majority of them said something to the effects of, I had no idea. Or they said something similar, I didn't think it was that bad. So with reference to that research, we decided to create something And our initial objective was if people use our product and service, which we didn't have a name, no one will live with the regret of, I had no idea. And that's our pinnacle objective when we set out to build SafeWatch. Then just a couple other key points. We looked at most nations in the world, and the trend just keeps getting worse and worse when it comes to mental health. In Australia, it's over $200 billion is what it costs our economy today. In Asia, in the next 10 to 15 years, about $11 trillion. It's a massive, massive challenge. However, what we did was looked at the trend and looked at about 20,000. There's about 20,000 apps in the marketplace. It's actually flooded when it comes to mental health. Here's the light bulb moment for us. We've got a picture here of how someone's doing on a scale of 1 to 10. Green, you're going great, fantastic. 5-year average. 1, you're really, really bad. It's a high risk from a mental health point of view. We found in our research the overwhelming majority of mental health apps are designed for the person struggling. Me or you, it's designed for the person struggling. What we also found, when you get roughly between a 4 and a 2, everyone's different, people lose the will and the motivation to help themselves. And that was a light bulb moment for us. It made sense why they're not going to the apps that's developed for them. It's almost like writing a self-help book, but if you lose the will to help yourself, if you don't even want to get up and have a shower, it's never going to make an impact. So what we did was we did something we're told from the market quite counterintuitive. We developed our North Star we thought was the person struggling. But we realized our North Star is not the person struggling. Our North Star is the person who cares for the person struggling. Because what we found, when Mary Jane, 11:30 at night, is contemplating whether she wants to be here tomorrow or not, it's people in her world. By the way, I have no problem being emotional. If it makes you uncomfortable, I wouldn't worry about it. I'm okay with it. It's a serious world problem that we're trying to solve. But we found people in Mary Jane's world, carers, the price a carer would pay would be sometimes 1,000 times more. And every nation has a massive army of carers. There's professional carers and there's relational carers. And what we found is carers are the biggest army, an untapped workforce, I shouldn't call them a workforce, to actually help people and look out for people. So we founded this on something that we call the village model. Because I found everyone agrees with it takes a village to raise a child, but our research has shown that it takes a village just to do life. You know, you can be a high-flying, successful sports person or what have you. You're not designed to do life alone. It's a high-risk ingredient when it comes to mental health. So we created this village concept around SafeWatch. And a good village will include people who know you, friends and family. It will include people who can help you, a therapist, a school wellbeing counselor, etc. And it'll include people who get you, someone else who's gone through the same thing. One of the most frustrating things for people is not having someone to relate to. And then overarching that, we're going to use Ella, our AI companion, to help carers be better carers and give them the early warning signs, because they're the ones whose hands, heart, and feet that we need to go and do something. Not this digital imaginary thing that's going to stop someone from jumping off a bridge. And then overarching that is the concept of safe relationships. We created a capability because a family member told me they'll never use this in 2020 when I shared the idea, and they said they will never use it because they wouldn't want all that intimate information of how they're feeling, their journal, their medication, be breached on the web. Fair point. So we used that feedback, which was a bit harsh, by the way. We used that feedback to create something where, and we think we haven't seen anyone else on the planet do this. We created something where, by design, global administrator has no access, which is quite counterintuitive if you're a technology person. The global admins and the tech people can't access. If you hold a gun to their head, they can't get it. If we're subpoenaed by a court, we don't have access. We can't actually give it to you. We're not hiding it. We can't give it. Every person controls their own capability. I need to speed up. Okay. I will speed up. Okay, the next one. The second award is Secure My Digital. Another world-sized problem we wanted to take on, and that is we wanted to create something to secure people's digital futures. Just like SafeWatch, which I'm convinced will impact everyone in this room, unfortunately, and I'm not trying to be negative, it will impact you directly or indirectly, because Australian statistics say about 45% of our population will at least have one significant mental health challenge in the rest of their life. That means if someone in your household is impacted, it will shift your house. Anyway, with Secure My Digital, cybersecurity, a huge challenge. We looked at the market and we wanted to address the risks of ransomware, and we architected a capability to completely negate the risk of ransomware. When we looked at the market, we found the overwhelming majority, if not all of them, but let's just say the overwhelming majority of security businesses, these brilliant brand names, are in the business of trying to prevent a breach. So what we did when we set up, we took a blank paper, and at the top of it, our hypothesis was we have to assume our customers' data is already in the hands of the criminal. And that's where we started. So we don't waste cycles trying to prevent a breach because we expect it will happen. Instead, we use our cycles to create what we call a brilliant post-breach resilience service. It's one of the few, actually we haven't seen many post-breach services. So we've created this capability for ransomware to be addressed. Whilst we were doing that, we had to deal with one of the biggest problems in technology, and that is dealing with the weak human being. What technology people mean is the password problem. Because you can have the most fortified system, that password is the weak link. So we created a password system, and this is the award we put in for. We created a password system that's easy enough and well, I call it mum and dad friendly. Another way of saying low friction. Unbreakable password, computationally with a quantum machine. Easy to use. Unphishable, even if a criminal looks at you. Meaning you can even write your password on a Post-it note. If the password ends up on the dark web, it's no risk. That's what we created. I'll go one step further. Similar to a password manager, and hopefully most of you use password managers, in the safe of a password manager, you got all these highly secure passwords, but usually the key to the safe is easy because we need to remember it. We created something whereby we have a vault-less solution. There is no vault or safe to store everyone's passwords. They don't exist. If you want to go and log into your banking, ANZ, you type your easy to remember password, and it dynamically creates your complex, unique password for the bank and sends it through, and then it disappears. There is no vault. Now, the exciting thing with no vault is if there's no vault where things are stored, there is nothing to steal, which is brilliant. Sorry, anyway, sorry, moving along. Sorry, my time is also up. So, we got a highly commended, we got some feedback. The feedback, quite transparently, was we're trying to do too much and the judges couldn't fit us in a box, and I understood that. So we walked away and modularized our capability. And we created 3 capabilities: secure people's identities. So we're able to secure not only every human identity, I'm excited that we can actually secure every non-human identity, which is growing at a staggering rate around the world. A huge risk. Second one, securing data. We have a client we've signed an MOU with. They've come to us because we've said, take your entire database, put it in a USB key and give it to a criminal. Hand it to a criminal. You'll be able to sleep at night. That's what we created with the secure data capability. And the third one, securing network systems. And that's all. Right now, both of these businesses are very, very early stage. We're looking for investors, we're looking for lighthouse clients, we're starting to make sure we have the talent to grow as we scale. But at the end of the day, we're excited about these 2 offerings that solve serious world problems. And I am very, very, very convinced both of these will touch every single person here, directly or indirectly, at some point. Thank you.
So do we have any questions? I'm sure there will be a few. I'm not sure the mics are working, so Ray, speak loudly.
I have a very simple question. At the age of 10, did your parents use your payroll system to pay you your pocket money?
I didn't grow up with pocket money, so I was never taught that in my household. By the way, I was never taught business because no one in my family or close world even was in business. But I was getting paid, and I think I mentioned I was getting paid more than the average income whilst going to school. I mean, I didn't do it for the money. I just loved the concept of collaboration and solving some problems. So no, I never got pocket money. Yes.
Yeah.
I did say quantum.
Yes. No, you did. I didn't laugh. So my quick question though is, I admire your goal and stuff like that. What you really talked about is basically cyber security and how to protect information that would then be shareable within a group. So how do you think you'll connect with those sorts of people, those groups? Are you going to come through community groups or hospitals or social service groups?
So for the cybersecurity service, multiple parts. First part, we're actually three different markets. The SME market, it's one of the most abused when it comes to criminals, and they're easy prey for a criminal. I'm not trying to sound rude, but they are. So we want to start there, and then we'll also create a channel model. As we do that, we want to mature up as an organization so that we can then go to enterprises, although we're in early talks with certain enterprises, you know, the billboard companies here that want this capability. We just want to make sure we mature up for that. Whilst we're doing that in parallel, we want to mature up for governments as well, because we have been told by those who are connected to certain governments, not only in Australia but outside, the absolute gap they have and how this can address it. So there's an exciting pipeline.
And I think governments is probably the key link because it links into so many other services.
Yep.
So, yeah, excellent. Well done.
Yes.
Congratulations again. It was a pleasure and an honour to judge you with my fellow judges.
Thank you.
For Secure My Digital. When we did judge you, we focused on Secure My Digital and the password management bit. But I see there from the data protection perspective and tokenisation.
Yes.
Are you using blockchain as part of that, or are you using some?
We're actually using the blockchain on the SafeWatch aspect, so it's completely distributed on that one. But when it comes to this, we're not actually using blockchain. We're using some highly sophisticated cryptography. And what we've done is we've created in such a way whereby there's no, you know, if you have your dictionary, you can say replace these with these and save that on a system. We don't have a cipher code to reverse engineer back. It doesn't exist. We're using the Secure My Identity capability to create it on the fly. So the cipher code doesn't exist. It's only accessed dynamically.
Using the same approach for
We're using that capability for the...
Secure My Data.
Exactly. And that's why we can say copy this whole thing or give the whole server to a criminal, because they can scan that. There's no footprint of any digital password.
So there will be a cheaper and faster way of protecting a data chain. Can you trace it as well?
Yes, so we've also created ability whereby you can put a password, but you can put a duress password, which is quite interesting. And we're looking to see how we can...
Data, can you trace it?
Yes, that's why I said the duress password. We've got a capability that we're not launching yet, where someone can put a password in and it lets the authorities know this has happened and starts to alert it and identify it. So if you want to help bring criminal networks down, so that's one option. The other option, which is another exciting thing, we don't just take the data in the database and replace it with a bunch of stars, you know, or anonymize it. We don't replace it with a dictionary. We actually, our most highest level of security is we've replaced it with other like data. And I'll tell you why. A criminal will not stop until he gets the goods. So if he's after the Optus database, they won't stop. That's the psyche of it. So what we're doing is we give them the database, but for every name, we put a different name. For the date of birth, if it's 1st of January 2024, it's 3rd of March 23. So it all looks legit, but it's actually all false data.
Transform.
Literally. So it's useless to a criminal. If we put stars, they'll just keep trying to get it. So we've done it in a way whereby we stop them and have them think they got it. Anyway, quite exciting. Yes?
Can I ask a serious question?
Oh.
The government today released their guidelines for social security, et cetera, et cetera.
Social media?
Social media, sorry, yeah, thank you. The guidelines are pretty vague, I have to say. Have you had anything to do with the Age Assurance Authority at all?
No, we haven't been involved in that. I have very strong views on that. Yeah, look, I have very strong views on that. I've regularly asked to present on panels. Just 2 weeks ago, I presented on how can we change mental health in Australia in the year 2050. So we do play a big part in this, but I personally haven't got the inroads into government to advocate or lobby for certain things that we believe in. I'm not looking to find those doors. I just don't have them. Yeah. I know it might be a slow dripping tap and kill me slowly, and that's why I'm not looking for those doors. Sorry. Yes.
Can you please disclose if you have the knowledge to identify male to female ratios from utilising your platforms?
For SafeWatch? No. We wouldn't know. If the Prime Minister of New Zealand's using this, we wouldn't know.
That's confidential.
We don't know, yeah. We actually have, contrary to the tech guys and the product people in our business, and for good reasons, we don't even have a directory. A directory is critical if you really want to monetize, sell advertising, do all these things, but we've just chosen to do it a different way. By the way, here's the other thing. We didn't realize by creating such a great privacy system, we ended up creating a mental health platform that who's who can use. A politician can use this now, or a celebrity can. Because in the current world, they'll never touch anything, because they're gone, if anything's exposed.
So are the politicians lining up in Marketplace at 9 p.m?
Say it again?
Are the politicians lining up in Marketplace
No.
at 9 p.m?
No.
Through the outro? No?
Yeah. So yeah, so we have no idea of people's identities. If Julian's using this and if he wants to invite you, he chooses, not me.
Yeah, indeed. You can take that to the next level. To do so much more with that.
I agree, because I think this is how we can go and build. We want to shift the narrative of mental health, which is very private, closed doors, couch-based sessions, one-to-one. We convince the biggest net for the entire community, because there's never going to be enough therapists, never going to be enough GPs in any nation to catch the big net. But there's always, we've used the concept of neighborhood watch. So with the village, if enough people keep an eye on you, that's the big net, because it is going to catch most people off guard. So we want to do community-based support, which we think is truly valuable, as opposed to being the Lone Ranger in life. Great. Thank you.
Fantastic.
5 seconds.
Thank you. Oh, yes.
Everyone, thank you for joining HallChadwick tonight. We're very proud to be associated with Julian Jolly and the Consensus Awards. And for me personally, it was great to hear about the 3 stories. I'd like to introduce one of our young up-and-coming directors, about to be partner, Kirli Waring, to just say a few closing words before we finish.
Well, you all got the joke. Hardly young, but anyway, thank you. It's been an honour for HallChadwick to partner with the Consensus Awards, Jolly. We're really privileged. It's a fantastic thing that you've done, and tech and innovation is just critical to the country, and it's very exciting. And particularly from a firm that specialises in tax and audit and forensic accounting and insolvency, which is all exciting in its own way. We never get to see the exciting stuff that people do in the innovation space. So this is really fantastic for us to be involved in. There's clearly longevity with this, and we hope to be partnered with it in the future. I assume you've all had a great time, And thank you for coming tonight. Hope you like our new facilities. It's all very new, and hopefully we see you again. And if you do need any of the financial services we offer, please feel free to reach out. And I hope to meet some more of you. Assume there's a little bit more networking after this, Jolly? Yep. Excellent. So come and say hi. Thank you very much.
It's a big close, Jolly.
First of July 1999, I would not have imagined at all what's been achieved over the last 25 years. It's actually phenomenal. There are just so many Australian and New Zealand companies that have been through the awards process and achieved a significant amount of revenue worldwide. It's because we have a process that works. My hat goes off to all of the judges, and there are quite a number of you here tonight, that actually do the judging for us. You, between you, get together and actually agree on which of the solutions that are put forward win the awards. It's not a competition. The judges decide how many will win this award. And each one gets a separate citation. The judges do that within 24 hours. So it's captured at the time. There's been a few instances over the years where the recipients of those certificates, those citations, or the highly commended "you need to do better," have actually come back to us. But the fact is, we've always validated all of the discussions and everything. So there is documentation relevant to all the decisions that are made by the judges. So it's all signed off, which is very, very important. So transparency, accountability, promotion of the winners, and then celebration of the winners. Wow. I'm very happy that I've created something that you're all part of. I love the fact that I've got so many people that help me do this, because it's basically a one-man band, as you know, but I really appreciate your continuous support. I'd like to really say tonight, the support we got from HallChadwick. Anthony mentioned earlier on that we met for a lunch, and it was actually, I think, an Australian British Chamber of Commerce lunch for the British Lions that were coming over. And we just hit it off, and then further discussions, whatever. But he got it, Kirralie got it, thanks Kirralie, and obviously the rest of HallChadwick get it too. That we've got something that is genuinely different. There is no awards program in the world that does what we do. Thank you.
Well, I think we're kind of calling time on tonight. There's some drinks outside if anyone would like to grab one. Feel free to stay around for a little bit. But we encourage you to leave safely and be your best. Thank you, Jolly.